Well, guess what? Queen Nancy spoke about your stimulus checks today, and which version of her do we have today? Was it the optimism one over the weekend? No. There was a really nice voice of a temple of positivity over the weekend, but needless to say, the temple of doom is back today. This is amid the airlines missing their deadline. This is amid the president not sending out stimulus checks. This is amid the Senate closing the doors. This is amid Steve Mnuchin, not talking to anyone or giving any press statement about anything. It's so wonderful that everyone's keeping us up to date about everything. But I'm here, you're here, your cat is here, your dog is here, Pete the peacock is here, and Lainey the dragon's here. And we're together pushing forward, and we're very close. The question is how close it is to get your second stimulus check. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoons LALATE in a continuation of Check minutes ago. This is Hazard Pay, which I'll have more details about in a second. But boy, big developments, big developments on your second stimulus check today, just minutes ago. Go to the front channel, subscribe. Thank you for making this channel really the number one all day long. We're ranking number one for Mornings LALATE, which has absolutely broken every record in history today. The morning broadcast was at 100,000 views in 4 hours, which is just like insane. 15,000 likes, and I how many 1,000 likes? I just can't even keep track of it. So also like this video. Let's get to the breaking details. In this video, I'll be going over a lot of stuff. First, I'll be going over where Nancy and Steve are, why sort of the messaging keeps on changing by the minute. Second, I'll be going over to what is going on with Nancy's promise to the airlines that there's a deal right away. Don't fire anyone. We're having a deal ready for you. Do we still believe her? Third, I'll be going over Jim Cramer. It's sort of like sometimes he gives us his Nancy Pelosi vibes. He says one thing one minute, the next minute's another thing. He has a reaction minutes ago about the stimulus negotiations. Fourth, I'll be going over the irony of frontline workers amid the president's COVID-19 situation. And fifth, I'll be telling you how to get some money. So stay to the end of this video so you learn how you can get some money for Hazard Pay, EIDL, and all those wonderful things locally, starting right now. Boy, this is the breaking news minutes ago. Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi met today again telephonically, and no deal. No deal. And no indication of changing on numbers, no indication of changing anything majorly over the weekend. And this is after on Friday they were changing numbers, not a lot, but they were changing numbers and changing language, according to her. But on Monday's briefing from Drew Hamill, which is Nancy's press secretary, who says usually much of nothing, he said they met for an hour. That's really nice, just an hour, an hour the entire weekend. By phone, and they chatted about the details of their proposals, and that was it. Let me make that clear again. They chatted about the details of their proposals, and that was it. I'd like to do the Saturday night version of that, Saturday Night Live version of that. You're crazy, Nancy. Steve, you're so cheap. And that's how they chat about the details of the proposals. There's a lot of false narratives out here. They're not here, but around here. First, that Nancy was going to offer a counter proposal today. No. That they're going to get this done by Wednesday. No. Where did she say that? That Nancy said that she has new numbers ready for us, and she said that in a Sunday interview. No, that interview has a transcript, and I read it on camera. It doesn't say that. So there's a lot of false narratives. It's up there with that now we have a new law that Nancy passed on Friday by voting on something in the House. Oh yeah, that's about as untrue as that $12 ice cream tastes better than $2 ice cream. So as we sit here today, where are these people's numbers? And where have they moved and where have they not moved? Well, needless to say, Nancy has not moved out of the Speaker of the House's office, and she's also not moved on her numbers. So you see sort of a consistent pattern here. Her number is still the same number she's had since July. She was at $2.2 trillion in July. I mean, I should know it. I've been reporting her number for, what is it? July, August, September, 3-4 months, and she's still been at 2.2, 2.4. I mean, 2.2 is the same as 2.4, folks. It's just, it depends on what day she wakes up, on what side of the bed what hairstyle she wears. If it's the one to the left, it's 2.2. If it's the one to the right, it's 2.4. Steve Mnuchin, he's moved, but not a lot either. The problem solvers bill was 1.5, so he went $200 billion over the problem solvers bill, which is an incredible achievement, and that's all they are at. She said that a deal was imminent coming into the weekend. She told the airlines, don't fire anyone. I have a deal coming. That's exact words. I mean, those are exact words. These aren't people paraphrasing what she said off the record. These are his exact words. She also said we're pretty close. And then there's third-party source data, people interpreting the situation, which is the same as you and I interpreting the situation. Mitch saying that they're very close. Steve saying, well, we're sort of close. Steve Slay saying, let's get it done. President saying, let's get it done. Okay, great. People are not moving on their numbers. So people are not moving on their numbers. Do we think that the deal is going to be hatched? Opinion? My opinion? No. If Nancy Pelosi is going to go to a grave with $600 a week for FPUC, then she's going to go to a grave. I mean, $600 a week is never going to be done by any Republican unless some major catastrophe occurs. And the fact that the president's out of the hospital by this evening, that the president thinks that the economy is roaring back, that the president thinks he's going to win every state even though he's behind 10% of the polls. I mean, do you think the president's going to roll over and give her $600 a week for FPUC? No. Do you think Republicans in the Senate are going to give Nancy Pelosi $600 a week? No. So if Nancy Pelosi is going to stay at $600 a week, I just don't see how it's a deal. Now, here's the irony of the situation. Should be people giving her $600 a week? I've already said over the weekend that there's two deal points that are holding up these people, and it's the same deal points that have been holding up these people since July. It's the state and local, and it's the FPUC. The state and local, she's at 400. He's at 200. I don't understand why he's at 200. Mark Meadows said the president will support 300. It really is 150, but the president will double it to 300. So, I mean, if I was in the room, which I'm not, you can still write me in on the ballot. I would have said, hey, Nancy, you want 600 for FPUC, and you also want 400 for state and local. Let's choose one of them, Nancy. Which one do you want? And Steve will give you that one, and you get Steve the other one. So how about you get 400 for state and local, Steve, give her 400 for state and local, but Nancy, you're going to get 400 for FPUC, and we call it a day. Or we get in the middle for both of them. $500 for FPUC because he's at 400, you're at 600, and state and local, you're at 400, he's at 300, he's at 200. We'll settle 300, call it a day. I mean, I really don't understand why we're going to go to the mat over this. In the context of where we are, it is very close. This is not opinion. This is fact. It is very close. We're about $300 billion apart. Needless to say, you know how quickly we can get a $300 billion deal done? We can get it done in 10 seconds if you cut out the salary raises to those nincompoops that don't need salary raises. Take their salary raises away and just put the $300 billion where Nancy wants it for all these other things. I don't know where these raises came in. And if Nancy's having such a big problem with state and local and FPUC, then Steve, just take away the money in these raises and give her that, and let's call it a day. I really don't understand what's going on. Airlines. Let's go to the airlines. The airlines have given up hope on Nancy and Steve. They've been trashing them all weekend long. Nancy and Steve have been absolutely trashed by every airline executive over the weekend, saying, you know what, we told you had a deadline. We flew to Washington. We met you. We called you every single day, Steve. He admitted he was being called every day. We told you had a deadline of October 1st. You ignore our deadline. Today's October 5th. We fired the people. Nancy says, don't fire them. Hold off. Don't fire them. Nancy, it's a deadline. It's a federal deadline. You want them to violate the federal law. They have to meet the deadline. They fired them. You want to give them your salary while they figure out what's going on with you? I mean, that might be a solution. Jim Cramer, host of 5,000 shows on CNBC, including Mad Money, says that he thinks the deal's going to get done. Jim Cramer on Friday said, or Thursday, he said, they messed up. There's never going to be a deal because they put their egos and their personalities first, and there's never going to be a deal. You messed up. And I'm closing all my restaurants. Okay, that was Jim Cramer on Thursday. Today, Jim Cramer says, I think there's going to be a deal. So he's like swapping personalities with Nancy Pelosi today. He said, talks this morning could be fruitful. And I think, therefore, I wouldn't bet against this market right now. Well, talks this morning were not fruitful. They did not reach a deal. They didn't move on their numbers. They're no closer than they were on Friday. So, sorry, Jim, they weren't fruitful. Bananas or apples or oranges. Cramer says sees momentum towards a possible deal. The fact that they are still talks at this late day is very positive. Why waste your time? Why would the secretary waste her time talking to the speaker and vice versa? So I think there might be a little momentum there. Again, he's guessing, and I'm reporting on someone who's guessing. He does go to lunch all the time with Steve Mnuchin. No, that's not a joke. They actually do. But he's guessing. And here's my opinion. Jim Cramer's wrong. The fact that they are speaking means much of nothing. Nancy Pelosi has understood, and the viewers of this channel have smartly understood, that Nancy Pelosi speaking to people is creating an aura that Democrats are working for the American people to give you stimulus and that you need to reelect them because they really put forward their best effort to get you stimulus, and it's all the fault of the Republicans. Yeah, it's part of a pitch. She has to be in Washington for something. The hairdressers are closed. The $12 ice cream can't be shipped in from San Francisco. So she has to do something. So why not? Here's a good idea. Call up Steve Mnuchin an hour every day, chat, and then don't move on your number, and then say, hey, I chatted. See, I'm working for you. Okay, who has the backgammon game? Let's go play some Parcheesi. I mean, that's basically what I think she's doing. I'm not exaggerating. Frontline workers irony, finally the last one. Hazard pay. You're entitled to hazard pay. You're entitled to money. You're entitled to a lot of money. Where's this money and why aren't you getting it? And can you get other money right now? And where would it come from and how would you get it? I promised you money, so let's get some. First, EIDL loan. You can get EIDL loan right now if you're a sole practitioner, independent contractor, Uber, Lyft driver, Grubhub driver, Airbnb operator, trucker, all those type of things. Anything that's an independent real estate broker, all those type of businesses, security guard, all those type of things, if you have a W-2, if you have a Schedule C on your tax return, go get an EIDL loan. I know you're going to say, but it's a loan. I don't want a loan. I want free money. Guess what? It's a really good loan. It's a really good loan for the situation you're in. The reason why is because there's no principal interest due in the first year. What does that mean? It means you don't have to pay anything back in the first year. And after the first year, you know what? You have the money in the bank. They gave you the loan, whatever it is. Let's say it's $5,000, $10,000. Let's say you used like $1,000 of it and you didn't need the other $4,000. It got you through this difficult time. And then you're like, I don't really need the rest of the $4,000. I don't want to carry a loan for $4,000. Guess what? You can give back the money for free, and there's no early repayment penalty. Normally, when you give money back early on a loan and say, I'm done with the loan, here's your money back, I don't need it. Remember, you have to give back $5,000. You would have to give out. If it's a $5,000 loan, you give back $4,000. You still have to come up the remainder of $1,000. You can get out of the loan by repaying it back early. And so it's absolutely categorically incredible. How do you get it and where do you get it and where do you get it and how does it function? Go to sba.gov. Look for EIDL loan, which is also called Economic Impact Disaster Loan. Fill out the application. And then make sure you have your Schedule C in front of you. Make sure you look at it and there's a line 1 entry of gross revenue. You had revenue last year. You had cost of goods sold. Revenue minus cost of goods sold divided by 2. That's your loan amount. It's as simple as that. If you're an Uber driver and you made $8,000 last year, it cost you $500 to run your business. Well, let me do an easier number. $8,500 you made in gross revenue last year. Cost you $500 to run your business. That's $8,500 minus $500 equals $8,000. Divided by 2, $4,000. SBA will give you a $4,000 loan within about 48 hours. You'll have the money within your bank account within about 5 business days, if not less, and you're done. Imagine having $5,000 in your bank account while waiting around for these nincompoops to do everything that sort of doesn't make sense. Next, grant money for purposes of hazard pay. States and local are dispersing money in record speed to cities and counties. As I've been reporting on a regular basis, go on Google News, not Google Web, but Google News, and look up grant plus your city's name, and then do it again for your county's name. And it'll come up with results that may have happened in the last couple of days. If they're not, look again in a few days. They have a lot of money they were given in the CARES Act 1 that they have to use or lose. And so this is thousands and thousands of dollars, millions and millions of dollars, excuse me, billions of dollars, and they have to use the money. And so they're doing hazard pay, they're doing grants, they're doing rent, they're doing food. Also, look out to your private employer. Your private employer may be doing bonus pay, and if they're not, get your fellow employees to get employees together and talk to your employer. Say, hey, I think we deserve bonus pay. We work as frontline workers. Let me go over to some of your 774 questions from yesterday. They really don't care to give us any stimulus relief. Melinda, so she and her party wanted to get a raise for not doing their job. Tell us to jump off the cliff. Carlita, now he's in the White House signing the executive orders. Jay, that was 21 hours ago. He was in the White House 21 hours ago, of the comment. Blue and Crew, I'm seriously losing faith in our government. Oh, just now? Robert Torres, this is so sad. Our government is incompetent. They need to take a lesson on how to run a country for the people and by the people. Absolutely. I mean, there's a bunch of lazy nincompoops. Every single one of them, Republicans and Democrats, House and Senate. I've never seen such a bunch of lazy people. Teresa Oliver, the president needs to do executive orders for stimulus and unemployment and hazard pay. Yes. Michelle Oda, Pelosi doesn't care about this. She doesn't even listen to her Democratic followers, for us the people. Amen. Let me go over that. Let me co-sign that last remark. Guess what? That $10,000 hazard pay, your lump sum that'll land in your bank account if you worked during the pandemic as a frontline worker because children going hungry. You worked in a grocery store because children going hungry. $10,000 based upon $13 an hour for every hour you work from the pandemic to January to the present. That was in the HEROES Act that Democrats in her party wrote. Well, guess what she did last week? She took it out. She took it out because she wanted to make her bill smaller so that she could have a lot of money to state and local governments. So you can give a lot of money as raises to the federal government. She took out the money for you for hazard pay because you worked as a frontline worker. Don't ever forget that. I could really shout at the camera right now, but I'm not. Don't ever forget that Nancy Pelosi took away your hazard pay, that you worked as a frontline worker during the pandemic, and that she never talked about your service any time in the entire scope of those negotiations from about July to now. She never talked once about you as a frontline worker. Don't forget that. Larry Wolf, if I had a dollar every time you mentioned that Nancy Pelosi, I wouldn't need a stimulus check. Diana Rhodes, that woman's crazy. She'd live on the little money I get every month. Jen Traum, Nancy Notorious has said yes many times to things and then the last minute changed her mind. Very well said. Heather Beard, evening all, let's keep our heads positive. Amen. Corey, amazes how other countries take care of their citizens. America does not. Scott Honingberg, how do you know Senate can come back in 24 hours if these two idiots can make a verbal deal so we won't have to wait? Oh, excuse me. You do know the Senate can come back in 24 hours if these two idiots make a verbal deal, so we won't have to wait to the 19th. False narrative. First of all, I was the one back in July when Fox News said, hey, Fox News, when I was reporting at the time, where I said, Mitch can order the Senate back in session, that Nancy can order the House back in session. Guess what? They're not going to. The House is recessed for a purpose. Mitch did not just recess it because he feels happy dandy. He recessed it because three Republicans came down COVID-19 positive. Chuck Schumer, Democrat in the Senate, said shut down the Senate. Democrats and Republicans said shut down the Senate. So they can come back at any time to reopen. Will they reopen with people positive? Will they reopen with people exposed to people that are positive? And why did they shut down in the first place? Yes, they can do anything and all that, but would they is the whole other subject matter. Donnell, Nancy Pelosi and all the rest of these politicians are nothing but big liars. Okay. Alberta Baker, let's get it done, guys. We need stimulus now. I love that. It's in days like this that we really keep our focus clear. We understand with the purple power that the focus is with the president to do executive orders. It is with the president to urge to issue an executive order that reopens the Senate by remote voting. We understand the Senate cannot do remote voting because it requires them to come back in person and then change the laws. We understand the Senate does not want to be in person. You know, there's a difference between able to do something and being willing to do something. And we understand the Senate does not want to approve any stimulus deal that is in excess of about 1.5 trillion, and Steve is at 1.7 now. The end of Jim Cramer's reports talked about that he still has issues and is still fearful that the Senate would never approve anything, even where Steve and Nancy are now. Go to Friends Channel, subscribe. Subscribe because we really are the best community. We really stay informed. We keep it positive, we keep it focused, and we try to get to the finish line. And we will. And also like this video. Coming up next is FPUC and big developments about UI, and then finally Pelosi versus Mnuchin. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay at LA for more.